Peut-être tout ça.
Why, hello, everybody, and welcome to Go F.O.C. Yourself. My name is Brandon. I'm here to talk about final order cutoffs and general comics industry stuffs. I was going to say as always, but sometimes I forget. Off the top, I'm going to go through our rules first. We're going to do stories first, collecting second. So we're not going to go over the minutiae of different covers and which one's going to be hot. Y'all can find that on the internet. It's out there. It's everywhere. Helpful information is always welcome. We're going to welcome anything that you all have to say about any of the stuff we talk about here today, including the industry stuff and what's happening on Final Order Cutoff. And we might pop it up on screen, but unhelpful information will not be acknowledged unless you address me as Comics Daddy, and maybe not even then. I just think that's a fun thing. And rule 4, don't be a ding-dong. If you're a ding-dong, I'm not going to share anything. I'm not going to do it. So with that quick little bit up top, we are going to, while I vamp for time, talk a little bit about how the supply chain is getting real messed up. So Marvel and Image both get their comics published somewhere here in the States, as noticed by their indicia and indicia, to use the American term. And for the past couple of weeks, they've had a lot of things slide on the schedule. Part of that's how things are being delivered and etc. And there's a lot happening right now in terms of supply chain stuff and paper shortages. We are a Bad Idea store, and so we definitely got a notification from Bad Idea saying that they had secured some paper and were getting their stuff printed at several different printers to get things out there. I don't know if you can see Jim right now as I'm prepping. Come on, Jim. No. And that their so-called final release, Odin's Eye, will be limited to folks, to the orders that were placed for the final 5. So what that means for folks who don't know, back before Bad Idea announced their quote-unquote last books that they're doing, they said that they had a final 5 ordering program open. That basically meant that whatever a retailer placed for these final 5, you would get that equal quantity across every issue of that line, whatnot, that you ordered, and you'd have to pay for it, etc., etc. Long story short, it's basically like blind setting some orders for a line of comics and making them all equal quantities. So we took a bit of a gamble and did 100 across the board. Part of it was because we're looking at the future and going, well, they say they only guarantee stuff that will be as part of this final 5. Might as well just make sure that we get our orders in and don't have to worry about our future stuff and, sell some complete sets on our site later. Well, as it turns out, Odin's Eye will not be getting any orders printed past what retailers ordered for their final 5. So say a store was like, we're just going to do 5 copies of the final 5 and order more later. Well, they're going to get 5 copies. That's it. There's going to be no more. Again. So they say. But this is a big thing. It's happening. It's going to affect the entire industry. And it is right now, as Image just announced another round of delays in addition to what's happened this week. So about half the stores that sell Image Comics got some Image Comics this week. And the other half didn't really get a whole lot of everything. And that's because of how things have been delivered. Now we've gotten some notification of some stuff that's happening to next week. We're being asked to hold those products until everything is delivered to all stores. Something that I don't necessarily care for. It's more easier to do that at the distribution point. Why would you just release things and be like, oh, you know what, guys? Can you just like be super chill about this? Get the heck out of here. We're doing a lot. I understand a distributor's doing a lot. We're doing a lot here too. But that's happening there. Marvel stuff, a bunch of it's being bumped back a week or two here and there, depending on the print runs, the paper amounts that can be acquired, all this kind of stuff. It's really a wild time, and you're going to see a lot of things being bumped back and back. Now, what does this mean for final order cutoffs? Well, this is very important because I've seen a lot of retailers get very upset by books that have their next issue solicited before the previous one comes out. Here's the problem. There is not a publisher in the world who is going to give up their spot on the publication schedule because an issue is delayed in shipping and whatnot. If you give up that spot on the schedule, these days it could probably mean up to like 3 weeks to like 8 weeks worth of delays, depending on your printer, to just bump it back. You can't bump it back. It's supply and demand. There are no spots open for next week because they're filled, because the product is filled. When we're dealing with single issues, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have to order in advance. We're going to have to get these things here. And it's a matter of, do you want the single issue release, or do you want and released on a schedule that might be somewhat palatable to you, like monthly, 6 weeks-ish, depending on how things are shipping? Or do you just not want the single issues? That's really what's going to happen here. There's paper supply issues. A very simple solution for most of these companies is to just go purely digital. For Marvel and DC, the single issue publication realm and publication in general is pennies compared to what their entire business entails. This is an easy solution for a company to make. And I find that retailers don't quite grasp this, that with the final order cutoffs that are happening right now, with everything that's happening with the supply chain, are hand-wringing, are trying to figure all of these things out and trying to badger companies into like, hey, we need things on our terms. Like, good for us, whatever. Everyone's trying to do their best, and right now we're sitting around complaining about the release schedule of single issues, and we can't get our proper numbers. You know what? Figure it out. Many of you have been doing this for decades and used to be in a situation where initial orders were it. You were ordering 2 months in advance and just like crossing your fingers that your numbers were proper. What we have now is a luxury. What's happening now is worldwide is a problem, is paper shortages, is a societal problem. And we're sitting around just demanding like, oh, I really need you guys to work with me. They are. This is the halfway point. They're trying to get us the product, and they're doing it in the best way that they can. And I would suggest that it would be super weird to be ungrateful about it. I know that sounds weird. It sounds like, hey, accept the problems that, are going to come up. Don't push for better. And that's not what I want to say. I just want to say that with the single issue format, this is what we're going to get. It is not the best delivery format in this current climate and for how people consume things. Digital stuff gets it to you in a short manner. Marvel and DC could be releasing the books that they have at the printer right now because they have the files. They could just release it. Why not? There's no reason not to, except for the little bit of money that we provide. Make no mistake. Yes, it's good that single issues can turn a profit. Yes, I understand that that's how a lot of single issues work. Marvel and DC, which, let's not make any bones about it, are pushing this industry, do not need single issues for the amount of effort that they put in for the money that they get. It is a cheap way to monetize product development for the bigger movies. That's what the comics industry is. An entire line of comics can be produced for the same price as a pilot. That's it. It's relatively cheap. So when I sit here and look at the way that retailers are out there complaining about hey, our needs aren't being served. Yes. But make no mistake. They could give a crap about our needs. What we have now is a gift. It's something that doesn't need to happen for the amount of money that's put into it. It doesn't. A lot of people could be out of jobs, and a lot of it could be due to complaining. Now, I run up against this thought process because I'm sitting here just being like, don't complain. Whereas there's a whole bunch of strikes happening right now with John Deere and Kellogg's and etc. It's called Striketober, for friggin' sake. The media is calling it. They'll only focus on it for the small amount of time that people's attention span works right now. But and it's going to take a longer process, but there's this push and pull of just hey, don't complain and don't ask for better, with that's the only way that we can get good things from the bigger people. Part of that is knowing when you have leverage. Right now, the comics industry, the single issue print issue industry, it doesn't have any leverage right now. Right now, the John Deere workers have leverage. The Kellogg's workers have leverage. Everybody who's being exploited has the leverage because the supply chains are all messed up, because they need the cog to work. And if the cog isn't going to work, then the entire system shuts down. This late stage capitalism was built on maximizing the profits of the largest companies. And to that end, they've stripped out all of these mechanisms that would help a company like Kellogg's, like John Deere, by having supply on hand, by having product basically to put out there on a regular basis, to have benefits for people. But the idea is to maximize profitability. So everything's stripped down, and now with everything in a crunch, because of the way that parts and everything are produced at a tight margin, at a just have it on hand when it's needed. Now you can remove a cog and the entire machine shuts down. If comic stores would like to enact solid change, one, they would need to have the leverage. A comic store who might want to, say, strike and ask for better in these kinds of situations would need to essentially withhold the way that things are sold. Now, the problem with that is if this portion becomes unprofitable, they'll just stop doing it. It's barely profitable as it is for single issues, for the amount of effort, for the amount of manpower. When you're talking about capitalism and how companies like to strip down things to make things work. The easiest way to get that content out there is digital. There's no power in the print single issue right now. There's a collectability, but that sees the companies no money. So why would they continue that? This is the situation we're in right now. And it's not enviable. I understand why people would be upset. But my God, at the end of the day, when we're sitting here hand-wringing about, oh, well, the previous issue isn't out, so how do I know what my sales are? Grow up. Grow up. Talk to your customers. What do they enjoy? Do you know that? Do you know what type of books they enjoy? Yes, you're going to eat a few copies if you kind of guess at a thing and get it wrong and do your orders. It's all mitigated by really engaging your customers, really putting that to scale and putting your orders in. I've got no sympathy for people who are hand-wringing about what to do in this current age with single issue comics when there's so freaking much in the world to deal with. Drives me batty. Anyways, that was a long talk. Let's see if we can talk some final order cutoffs. I'm not going to go through and do all the number ones like I used to. The goal here is going to be to hit on a few of the top ones with some interesting things to say, basically. I want to encourage companies to contact, and if they've got something cool that they think should be highlighted, just let me know. That contact right there. I'll pop out that information for you. If you're engaging with us, we're engaging with you. That's going to be the rule going forward, and otherwise it's just going to be what I'm kind of digging right now. So going to get a bit of share screen going after that long rant. The truth is, I think everyone's tired. I know I'm tired. And we're all going to find our way through it. And some of that is just going to be making a little fuss. Image don't have nothing new. Darkos don't have nothing new. Also, I do feel like these schedules are a little bit lighter. Maybe because, that's what paper's available. Hey, super exciting. Sonic Hedgehog Imposter Syndrome, for those of customers who are into Sonic, it's the same creative teams rocking that book, so definitely focus in on that. I am going to do the Marvel stuff from here this time because, again, I'm just going to go for simplicity right now. The Captain America Iron Man comic is coming out. I'm going to be brutally honest with this. Derek Landy, Angel Unzieta, very, very talented folks. This book exists because they need a slot to fill on the Captain America block. They were doing it with the United States of Captain America. It was doing very well. It was introducing some new characters and, a little bit of that speculation. But Christopher Cantwell was telling a really good story about the meaning of America and symbolism and all that kind of stuff. Really cool. What's the pitch here to kind of really bring you in? A government agent turned Hydra provocateur stages a daring breakout on her way to prison, attracting the attention of both Iron Man and Captain America. When Steve and Tony realize that they both have a connection to the slippery fugitive, they must team up to track her down, only to discover that she's not the only player on the board, with big plans and sinister motives. Okay. Now, why are we buying this book? This is a very important thing right now. Why are we buying it? This is a regular Captain America Iron Man story about a fugitive. Okay. We've got over 60 years worth of these stories. Give me something more. That's not to fault anyone who is very interested in this because of the characters. Sometimes that's what it is. I like the characters, and that's the hook for me. For a retailer, I need a little bit more because I know I can sell to the folks who get the Captain America Iron Man stuff, who really love those characters. That's the easy part of the day. That's the baseline. Now, how do I make that successful on top of the diehards? Big question. And that's really what we're going to explore going forward, is just like, how do we get more of these interest bits in here? The Darkhold stories, or the Death of Doctor Strange stories. They're little outlier bits of some, I'm going to say, some fairly standard stuff. Darkhold, some of the superheroes end up going bad because there's mystical elements at work. There's the beginning, there's the one-shots, and there's the end. It takes a lot of effort on a comic store's part. Give me more of a hook than like the good guys might be bad guys now for a little bit, and then it's going to be fine. Why? What is the why? Let's figure that out. Death of Doctor Strange, White Fox. Now, I like this because we're expanding into some different characters, some different creators. But here we do have something where the death of Doctor Strange will test her like never before. Something or someone is murdering innocents, and the only suspect who fits the profile is White Fox. She'll have to clear her name to uncover the dark secrets from her mysterious origin while the very planet is under siege. Amy can have the answers she so desperately seeks, or she can save her friends. Standard plot. I like it. Why am I selling this book? A little cranky these days. And I know that everybody working on these books is doing something good, is creating, is putting things out there, is putting their hearts into it. None of these people, like, all of these people care. All of them care about this. Nobody works in comics because they do not care. But these days, it's not good enough to just be good. You have to be great. You have to push. The Giant-Sized Black Cat #1, for folks out there who might not know, this is the conclusion to the Black Cat series. So very important for folks who've been getting that to log into that last one and make sure that they get what they're looking for. The Marvel Voices Heritage is a follow-up to last year's Indigenous tales that they did. So more on that end. See Rebecca Roanhouse's new Echo series is being focused here. Snowguard's Greatest Hopes and Fears in a Tale by filmmaker Nuala Inukshuk, and many more. These are always really cool to look into, and I do actually applaud Marvel for putting these out, because the answer to the why here is because representation does matter. And you know, having these characters, these stories out there in any format really is very important. And I'm very happy that they do this. Now, I will admit, because of the anthology format, you know, the amount of buy-in is a little mixed. But I cannot fault the why here. There is a solid push to make sure that folks are well represented and to grow the industry, and that's always very important. Star Wars Crimson Reign is the next big story that comes out of the Star Wars line. It obviously dealing with the Crimson Guard from a lot of the larger Star Trek, Star Wars universe stuff that happened outside of what was supposedly in canon, basically. After the dawn comes the reign. The story that began with War of the Bounty Hunters continues here in the second installment of a trilogy that will reshape the history of Star Wars Galaxy during the Age of Rebellion, featuring the return of beloved characters, shocking twists, epic feats of the Force, and a story that will reach Star Wars' darkest underworld, all the way to the Imperial Palace on Coruscant. Crimson Reign is a Star Wars saga like no other. Now, I'm not going to lie. That solicit was nothing, was a vapor. It's going to be big. It's going to be cool. It's going to change things, and stuff's going to happen. Okay. The hook is really in the name, and the folks who recognize that kind of stuff from past Star Wars stuff doesn't reach out. Everything should reach out. Get on it. I'm very cranky this episode. X-Force kill shot number 1. Rob Liefeld tells himself an X-Force one shot. Enjoy! Again, very insular. It's reaching in. The pitch to this is Rob Liefeld doing some X-Force. And that's fine. That is a why. I need these books to reach out. This is a one-off that, you know, will kind of influx a bit of money. Because Rob Liefeld does actually move units. Not going to lie about that. The dude knows what he's doing. He does his thing well. It is for a specific set of people. As we see, this solicit also fairly vaporware. Celebrating the 30th anniversary of the iconic team, creator Rob Liefeld returns to the characters he introduced 3 decades ago. Redundant. To tell a brand new adventure featuring these hard-hitting heroes. In this special issue, the man called Cable assembles the combined might of 5 different X-Force squadrons. He makes the biggest X-Force, each gathered across various points in time for one final mission to defeat strife once and for all, at all costs. Sacrifices, betrayals, revelations await as X-Force attempts to their most daring assault ever. Many X-Forces, one villain, big fighty time, go. Many covers. My goodness, these are all open to order too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Neat. Enjoy. Dynamite doing dynamite stuff. Yep. All them covers for all them books. Getting dizzy. I do love Shea Fontana. She does all of the DC Superhero Girls books. Been very great. And did work on some Wonder Woman Rebirth. Dizzy wants to be the best, but in the case of everything she's tried, including roller skating, this teen has only been able to achieve one thing: disaster. Just when she's ready to pack it in, everything changes when Negatrix's attack, forcing her to take up the mantle of Burb Defender. But if she wants to save the world, she's going to have to assemble the coolest skating crew in the burbs. Now, after my rants for the Marvel DC stuff, you're probably wondering, what's the why here? Well, there's 2 things that Boom has going for them. One, you get to read some of the PDFs in advance so that I get to know more of the why. 2, this is another bit of representation. It's about believing in yourself and where that power comes from. And that's what this book is about. I think that's very important, especially for the audience that Boom and Boombox specifically is focusing on here. A great why there. Magic Master of Metal is for the Magic the Gathering series, is a little bit of an extra for folks who are into that. This is going to be for that. You know, very, very focused. I'm more than happy with it. Once in future, the deluxe collection. As a lot of folks know, there were some problems with the Something is Killing the Children deluxe and the slipcase edition. So folks might want to get in on that early with their orders and try and get those up because of the printing stuff that's happening these days. This won't be out for a while, I believe. Yeah, November. So now the print runs of these will have been set for a long time ago. So we'll see how that kind of pokes through there. They keep putting the best of 2018, 3 and 4 on here. This is maybe the 4th week that they've done this. Good job, Diamond. You're really cracking it right now. I definitely have time to deal with your shenanigans. Doctor Who, Empire of the Wolf. Hey, did you know Doctor Who is coming back at the end of this month? What a perfect time for the comic book series to return. See how that works? Very nice. This is celebrating the 25th anniversary of the eighth Doctor's debut. Trapped in a parallel universe, Rose Tyler believed her adventures with the Doctor were over. Now pulled by a mysterious energy into this reality, she must work with 2 Doctors, the 8th and the 11th Doctor, to end the tyrannical rule of the warmongering Bad Wolf Empress. Some big ideas for the Doctor Who universe. Now again, fairly insular. So it does take a knowledge of who your Doctor Who people are, but this is a fairly big swath of stuff. It's got your 10th Doctor stuff with Rose, 12th Doctor stuff, and 8th Doctor stuff. It's a little bit of a pool, and that's what I like about Doctor Who, is you can kind of like dip your toes into different eras and different things and kind of pull out a lot of really cool stuff. Da-da-da-da-da-da, dee-dee-doo-doo. Ooh, yeah. Radio Apocalypse. Very excited for this. It's the newest collaboration between Ram V and Anna RK. I've got water right here. Why I'm not? Tasty, tasty, tasty water. Long after the rock out of space struck the world and turned it all into dust. Sorry. Long after the rock out of space, not rock out of space. My God. Just killing it today. Long after the rock out of space struck the world and turned it all into dust, in Bakerstown stands the last radio station on the planet. Radio Apocalypse, broadcasting into the unknown, a beacon in the dark for those who wander the lost places. Now change is coming to Bakerstown. Among the refugees flocking into an already precarious settlement, an orphan boy, Rion, caught in an indiscretion, will twine his fate with the radio station, and in doing so, begin this mixtape of love and heartbreak and interminable hope. This soundtrack to the end of the world. This is the soundtrack to the end of the world. I think it's supposed to be there. We've got some art here. I love these two when they collaborate together. They've done some absolutely stunning things, like blue and green, and I'm forgetting. It's a hardcover, and I'm forgetting it, and it's one of my absolute favorite things right now, and that's making me sad right now that I can't remember it. Maybe I will get back to you on that one in another one. But they're absolutely phenomenal. They think through the worlds that they're creating and the ideas that they're putting out there. And Radio Apocalypse is something that I feel like is well needed in this world. We do like to fixate on an apocalypse because it kind of absolves us of the things that we're doing right now. But I do think that having read a bit of the first issue here, a lot of the apocalypse stuff is being addressed in terms of like, hey, when you see something coming, you have to do something about it. And there's not a lot of that happening these days. So I believe this to be a great why of a book. I think that a lot of people are going to really dig it. And these creators have absolutely killed it in the past. So get that into some people's hands. Get it into your hands. I know you're going to love it. All right, that's going to do it for here on previews. Let's hit up Lunar for some DC. We did some Marvel. I'm not going to pop up the Penguin this time. Will in the future, though. This is for folks doing their Lunars on Sunday. If you're like me, this means nothing to you because you've already placed these orders on Thursday because you go through Universal. We will get to those ones a little bit later. I love Universal. They actually keep some stock on hand for when you run out. Very nice. And they are up here in Canada, which I also love. Go Canada. We have the Batman Secret Files for the Gardener, written by James Tynion IV. I always tell people, if the writer of the main event series is writing a tie-in, it is going to be very important. They have made time in their schedule to make sure that this is coming out. And with Christian Ward art, it's going to be really cool. So if you're digging Fear State, something you're going to want. I'm going to skip the DC hardcovers and collections because they do pop up on Penguin Random House in the past for the most part. But this Batman Superman story that Jin Ling Yang wrote, my goodness, it is just absolutely outstanding the way that he weaves together two worlds and brought them together and built this, as it says, archive of worlds. The different things that they did with the storytelling is just absolutely outstanding. It will be very interesting to see how this works in a collection because some of it utilized the single issue format. I think that's really cool when you can utilize the format. That brings a purpose to it. Fantastic. So I'm very excited to see how this goes. It is a beautiful, wonderful experience in storytelling, and that is a good why for a book. A Black Friday also has a very good why. Gets downright nasty here on Black Friday. Black Friday is the biggest shopping day of the year. Millions of Americans pack the aisles of retail outlets all over the country, battling for the best bargains. While an unlucky cleanup crew deals with the aftermath of the latest Black Friday frenzy, they discover that years of pent-up negative energy has released something very evil and dark into their superstore, which is just the way corporate wanted it. You know, has the elements of consumerism and sort of like corporate greed and how things are working these days. Just absolutely fantastic why for the book to come out and to really get into the zeitgeist, basically. DC Horror presents Soul Plumber #1, second printing. One of a few second printings that are happening. I believe Image just announced that they're not going to be doing second printings for the next little while here because of paper shortages. So this is a very important thing. This is something that might happen here in the future, that the print runs are going to be finite and that we can't just randomly just add a second printing to the schedule unless something's already in progress. You know, it's going to be a big thing to deal with. Ding, 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 ding. The Robin's #1 on F.O.C. this week. I know a lot of people have been digging the Thirst Trap covers. I know I am. That's a good why. You know what? I'm just going to leave it at that. It's a book about all the Robins. They're going to do a big fight. Also, there's Thirst Trap covers. Y'all want to buy some. All right, let's head over to next week's batch. This is the batch that's going to be due from Universal. I'm going to talk about A King's Vengeance because it's going to be pretty cool. So, this always gets me. It's very close to Danica's name. My God. And Peter Rick. Peter Rick has done Once Our Land. That is an absolutely gorgeous book. Is a very good world builder, storyteller. I'm very happy about this, even though this is very short. This is something I'm building off of past work. The solicits for his books have never been that stellar, quite honestly. That said, the work speaks for itself, so I'm going to go into this a little bit here. A vexed warrior who was once a loving father and husband is brought back to life 25 years later and proceeds to avenge himself on the demons responsible. From the creator of the hit Scout series, Once Our Land, get this awesome new first issue. Just know it's going to be gorgeous. Just know that it looks like that dude is riding a dinosaur. These are good things. Why is that not in the solicit? That's hard to say, because that dude is riding a dinosaur. Put the cool things in your solicit. Put the cool things in your solicit. I'm sorry, Chuck D. We doing this? Oh yeah. Z2, baby. That's why. I'm like, who's doing this? No, Z2. Or as you filthy Americans call it, Z2, because you're lazy. Unlike me, who is like constantly hitting his deadlines and being dope as hell. Z2 does a lot of outstanding work with a lot of musicians. This is going to be no exception, because that is a great batch of creators. Very cool. The Gotham City Villains anniversary issue. The why of this one? Well, there's a lot of outstanding creators, but the little bit extra. And also, kudos on DC for listing them all, finally. Well, most of them anyways. That's a murderer's row of characters. But also, what's this? Yeah, that's Danny DeVito. Danny DeVito writing a Penguin story. That's a pretty big get and some pretty big news. That will be the anchor of this anthology series. Everyone's going to get some great stories outside of that. This murderer's row of great creators. But that's going to be your hook to get to talk about some Batman of Villains. There's many much covers, as you can see there. And hey, you know what? That's going to be it for today. So thank you all for watching this week. It's very appreciated, especially with my yelliness and shenanigans. We'll talk again soon. There'll be another article of mine up soon about, the general things. And yeah, I hope you are all well and healthy. I hope you are all doing decent during these times. It sucks. It's hard. But together we kind of make it through these things. So know that there's a community out there for you. It takes a little bit of outreach, but the people that surround you will take care of you. And if you're not in that kind of situation, I do feel for you. Definitely feel like reaching out, and hopefully we can help foster a situation where there are people around you that do care about you, and to help you find those people. So thank you. We will talk again soon. Bye.